Hey, it's Chi Chi. It is a little over 2 p.m. a little over, apologies. And I've come on to do the training today about entrepreneurial secrets, talking about my first year in business as a full-time entrepreneur. And I'm going to just check we're streaming okay. This is the first time I'm live streaming landscape, because my phone has never been able to do it and now it does, and so it's a little bit weird because I'm having to look here so that I am making eye contact with you, but it means that I can't even see anything else that's going on. So let me check we are live streaming, which I'm sure we are, and we will go. But if you are on here, please come and say hi, and yeah, and I may put the light on because it's gone a bit dark. Maybe not. This is not my normal light, it's just like a table lamp. Alright, we might put the light on, maybe not. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Follow Kemi. So if you are here, come and say hi. Let me know where you are watching from. And basically, I want to just welcome you. If you've never connected with me on a live stream before, maybe you're new into this group, you are very welcome. I am Chi Chi. This is my group, and basically CEO Mastery is what I stand for, and I teach about and I support you guys in building your own businesses so that you can create the freedom and the impact that you want in your life as well. So I wanted to come on here today to talk about some things, because I am in another group where we're kind of doing a lot of mindset work on different things, and for the last 3 months especially, I have felt this kind of, not disconnect is the wrong word, but I've been going through stuff personally anyway, but I've not been fully showing up here in my business, here in this group, just because of different things. And as I've kind of been dissecting it all and looking and saying, okay, what's been going on, what's been happening, different things have come up, and I wanted to come on today and share about those things, but also just talk about the entrepreneurial truths, like the reality of running your business as an entrepreneur and what that really means and what that looks like, because it's not for everybody. It's not. And I always say this, you know, entrepreneurship is a choice, but it's not for everybody because it's really, really hard work, but also equally very rewarding. And so one of the things that came up for me was authenticity over popularity. Hi Olabisi, which is really about being truthful and sharing what things are, what, you know, what's really going on about things, because the online space, it's very easy for people to sit behind what we call in the UK smoke and mirrors. So everything looks great, fantastic, but behind the scenes it's not so great. And I'm not saying that everything's whoa as an entrepreneur. No, that's not true. That's what I'm not saying at all. But I really think it's important to share, you know, as a leader, what does it take to run a business? What's involved? What's the commitment that's needed? What are some of the lessons that I have learned this past year running my business full time, and how can I share those with you so that you don't make the same mistakes, but also you can also take them on board and apply it however way you wish to do that in your business. Okay, so I've written my notes because I don't want to forget things and share everything. But anytime you have a question or anything, just pop it below. Hey Amy, and just say hi so that I know that I'm not talking to myself. All right, so first things first, if you don't know my backstory, let me just do a little bit of a recap. So I have been coming up to 5 years in business this September. 22nd of September is my business anniversary. And I had started my business as a virtual assistant 5 years ago when I had my daughter, and I wanted to do a business, have something that was going to allow me to be at home and be able to not have to go back to my corporate job. So I started off as a virtual assistant. I moved into graphic and web design, and then I moved into kind of like techie online marketing stuff, then moved into coaching and consulting. So this is where we are today. Last year, 2016, well, actually go back 1 year before that, 2015, I'd had my son the previous year, and basically my husband was like, you need to go back to work because, you know, 101 different reasons. But anyway, that was when I was sort of building my coaching business, and I didn't want to go back to work, and I felt like, oh, I'm a failure for going back to work, can't I have this business? But, you know, we do what we do, we're adults, you have family, and, you know, I went back to work. So that year, 2015, I went back to work full time. 2 kids under 4, and back to full-time employment, working in the City of London, and it was really, really hard. My husband got his job took him away to Switzerland, so he was out there pretty much Monday to Thursday. So during the week I was just on my own, trying to build this business, 2 young kids, you know, working all the time, getting up really early, dropping them off at childminder, then having to then get the train into London and then leave, and not really taking a lunch break so that I could leave early to pick them up. So anyway, that was going on for months and it was just crazy. And then that July, I was just like, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm not sleeping. My business was not really making any money. I was just struggling. I'd bought all these different courses and things things were just not working. And I was just like, I've had enough. And so I decided to basically, I wrote an email to my list and said I'm taking a break indefinitely, and that's what I did. And in that period of time was when I had to really reevaluate things and ask myself, what is it that I really want? I asked the question, and I encourage you to ask this question to yourself as well. What is it that I want? Because sometimes we build our dreams, our desires, our goals based on things we think we want, but not actually what we want. So did all of that. It ended up being a 6-week break. I came back fully kind of focused about what I wanted to do and the kind of business that I wanted to have. And the realization was that I was building this business the wrong way. So, and I say this to my clients all the time, you need to start with your end goal, the life. What is it you're trying to create? And then you build your business around it. And I was not doing that. I was doing it the other way around. So did all that, came back in September, and I was like, okay, I'm really focused. I know what I want to do now, and I'm going to work so that I can leave my job. So initially that was like the 2015. I was like, April, I'm going to leave my job 2016 April. April came and went, and obviously I was still in my job, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit because I was like, what's going on? Like I need to really get really clear on this goal and do what I need to do to make it happen. So then from April onwards, I just became super focused, and I had this goal that I want to leave, and I'm going to leave this year. And I basically just put the blinkers on, and I focused on showing up consistently. I focused on giving really great value. I focused on building this community and you know, creating content and everything else like that. And in that space of time, you know, I had a video go viral. I had huge amounts of women come into this community, and it was just incredible. Okay, and then when we got to it was September, literally I did a live event in September, and the day before, or maybe 2 days or 3 days before, I had this VIP day with one of my mentors where we talked about what's going to happen next. And it was like, you need to make a decision now, Chi-Chi, because I was at this point where I couldn't keep growing the business. There was just no more space or time or anything. And I knew that I needed to leave, but I was like, I need a sign. So I think it was the day before. I can't remember the dates. I think it was the day before. The next day I had my live event. The next day I had a very clear sign that it was time to go, and so I handed in my notice that next day. And initially I was like, October, it happened in September, and then literally I kind of then worked out my notice. But the thing is, I left my job last year. I left a corporate job to become a full-time entrepreneur, and this is where we are. And so the purpose of today, just to give you that background if you didn't know what that was, is just to really share some of these lessons that I've learned. It's coming up to 1 year, and it's been an incredible year. With lots of wins, but it's also been an incredibly hard year as well. And I don't want to kind of sugarcoat things, and I don't want people to think that, oh my gosh, look at Chi-Chi, it's all great, you know, nothing ever goes wrong in her world. That's just not true, and there's no BS with me. I really want to be open and truthful, because one of the things I talk and preach about is about visibility. And I always say that the first step in visibility is being visible with yourself, being open and actually acknowledging where you are, what's happening and what's going on, and also being able to be truthful with yourself about things and being able to be accepting of things as well, because it's really easy to make mistakes or things happen and then you're just like, well, I'm rubbish, I can't do this, you know, this is not for me, and you walk away from actually something that's really great, but you just needed to tweak and change it. So that's what I've learned. And so okay, so let's start. So basically, first lessons, let's talk about goal and vision. When I left my job, I was not one of these people who had like this big master plan. I did have like loads of savings. In fact, I had zero. And I also wasn't one of these people who were just like, I had had this big kind of, you know, 5-year vision plan of everything, what's going to happen. I knew I wanted to go. So the thing is, my driving force and factor has been leave my job. And then once I'd given in my notice, I then had 30 days to sell out my group program, because that was going to be my income for the next 6 months. And so again, focus, head down, did that. I had 10 spaces, I sold 11. And so that was incredible. That was October. The program started in November. And I remember like filling the program, and then I was just like hustled for like November with other stuff, and then I was just exhausted. Came to December and I was knackered, and I was just like, I'm just tired. I can't do anything this month. I just wanted to sleep, and I took off 2 weeks in December, but then the other 2 weeks I just didn't work because I just was just really tired. Then this is when I kind of had my first lesson, okay, about having a big vision. So yes, I'd had this vision about leaving my job, but then beyond that, there was no vision. Not that I didn't have one, but I hadn't very much articulated it. So when I'd hit that goal, I was just like, oh, okay. So I've just left my job. I've just had a sold out 5-figure launch, but I just felt really empty. Like I just felt like, oh, okay. Like, well, what's next? What am I supposed to do next? And that left me in this space of really kind of a bit of confusion and a bit of sort of like, I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to be doing. So I just was basically, I'm just going to sleep because I'm really tired and I'm physically exhausted. And so my first lesson is this: you really always need to be working towards something. You always need to know what this big vision that you're working towards is, but also have like the smaller steps in between. Because when I kind of lost sight of what my bigger vision was, I just became very lost, and then I stopped kind of doing stuff. And then when you don't do stuff, so when I looked at December, obviously income was down. December also was the first month when it was Christmas time, and then I had like a ton of clients pay late, so not at all. Hey Lynn. And it was like my first dose of like reality as a freelancer. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is it. Like Christmas is here, and like payments that are supposed to come in haven't come in, and I haven't really worked much this month, and there's no paycheck coming in. So that was just really, really, really interesting. And so that was my first big lesson. Yeah, Amy, big goals with small ones inside, because you need to have something that's driving you, like something that you're working towards. Hey, Natalia. And if you don't, then you're going to find yourself just lost. So that was the first thing, having a big goal and vision. The second lesson that I learned, so obviously that was December, came off the back of Christmas, and I was just like, crap, okay, so here we are. Like if I don't work, I don't earn. January was here, and I hadn't done anything in December, so like I didn't have anything happening like coming through from income wise massively in January. And so I remember coming off the back of the new year, and I was like, okay, head down, okay. And I say this to my clients: we all know how to earn money. If you've ever earned money, made money in your business, you know how to make money. But if you're not earning money, then obviously something is like amiss. It might be a mindset thing. You might not be engaged with the thing that you're selling. So in January, we were having a pep talk with one of my coaches, and it was like, okay, this is what you need to, you need to kind of get your head back in the game. So I had to get my head back in the game. I had to basically, because again, throughout this whole thing, I want to talk about emotions and things. So one of my big emotions around it was like shame. So here's the thing: people didn't pay me on time. I didn't do much in December, so it was Christmas time. And so if you can imagine Christmas time when you haven't got the resources to have a good Christmas, you feel pretty crap about it. So I was like, okay, I need to deal with that, accept it, move on. Came into January, and it's like, okay, I just got onto it, like booking calls with people, speaking to people, getting visible again, just, doing all these different things. And that month I managed to book like 25 calls, and sell kind of a couple of different things. And so having gone from like really someone just called me, income was back again on track, and I was set for February. And so that was what happened. And so lesson number 2 is about knowing how to see that something has happened, but then be able to pick yourself up out of it and keep moving forward. Because the thing is, as an entrepreneur, if you don't work, you don't earn. That's the truth. So as an employee, you don't work, you can get away with a few weeks, months of that, and you'll still earn some money. But if you don't show up as an entrepreneur, if you're not visible, if you're not making sales, you will not earn any money. And if you are somebody who has responsibilities, and we all have responsibilities, I've got 2 kids, I've got a mortgage, you cannot be in that state indefinitely. So you need to be able to pick yourself up out of a negative situation and move forward with it. Hey Lisa, because you will face situations where you make mistakes, and I'm going to share some of my mistakes that I've made. You will be in a situation where things don't work out, you lose money, people don't pay you, all this sort of thing. You have to think about, what am I going to do next? How am I going to get out of this? So that's what I did, and that was January. February was a great month. So having gone from like December was really low, January was kind of better. I think February was like 8K, okay, which is about $10,000. And so that was like, okay, I've been able to turn this thing around, okay. February came, and then I think that it wasn't like I was bored, but like one of the things was, if you read my post about the inner circle, or like the iteration of my programs, one of my first group programs ended in February. And whilst the one-on-one aspect had been really great, the group aspect hadn't been like hadn't gelled as much as I'd wanted it to, and I felt kind of really disappointed about that. And I had somebody in the program who didn't pay, till this day hasn't paid, and so I had all these things of like, okay, well, I've delivered what I said I was going to deliver. Do I not deserve to get paid for what I've done? And so there's all these different things. I was like, I never want to run this program again. I don't want to do this again. But then I had this like wave of inspiration around, do you know what? I love mentoring. I love supporting women. I love coaching. Maybe I just take the lessons from this first program and create this iteration of this group program and create something else. And that's when I created the inner circle. Okay. And so that program went live in February. But at the same time, while that was going on, I was like, do you know what? I miss being creative. I miss making things. And if you know my business history, I had a web and graphic design business before. So I was like, I want an agency. I'm going to grow it and have like, you know, do this and have a big team and everything else like that. So I spent time doing that. I went and got amazing people to join my team. I got, you know, set everything up on that side. But the point is, the long and short of that was that I just became distracted. So rather than focus on kind of, let me finish this program, launch this new program, and then just continue growing the business and everything else like that on the coaching side, I got distracted, which sometimes is not a bad thing, but I got distracted to the point where at some points felt like I was running two businesses, because obviously it was. And you know, if you think about an aeroplane, a lot of the energy starts at the beginning of takeoff, and you need to put all your time and energy in that. So that meant that my eyes were being taken off my coaching business. So the agency side of thing was there, and I was very much like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm building this. But 3 months down the line, I realized that I didn't want to have an agency. And one of the things I learnt in that piece was about creativity. If you are creative, you need to find ways that you can always be having creativity in your life and in your business. Lisa says that's why I'm doing 3 businesses. It's hard to focus. It is really hard to focus, and if you don't have support, it's also really, really incredibly hard. But if you're somebody who's very creative and you're not finding an opportunity to be creative, you need to find that from other sources, because the actual practicality of running a business is not creative. You know, selling, admin, you know, paperwork, you know, all these different things. It's not a creative process, but they're things that you have to do for your business to grow. Being visible every day, all these different things. Sometimes it can feel very monotonous, but you need to do those things to grow your business. But if you're a creative person and you're not having that outlet, then you feel very much depleted. So I learned in that, another lesson is that I need to find other ways to refuel that creative well, so that I can do those things in my business that need to happen and get done, and I'm not basically then sabotaging the business. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, so for me, I ended up going to create this whole new business, which I didn't actually need to do. All I needed to do was like pull in the reins of like, rather than outsourcing like web design stuff, which I can do within myself. Okay, so I say that because there's a lot of creators in this group, and sometimes we think that we need to move from what's working, or maybe not working as well as we want it to work, but basically then just go and do something else. Amy said, how did you cope with going from an office full time? So this is one of my other lessons. Okay, one thing I've really struggled with is structure. Okay, so I have my daily 5 and I know what I need to do every day. But in terms of having a structure, when I left my job, I was like, I'm gonna have all this free time. I'm gonna have this time to do everything. But that was the year my daughter started school. My son started preschool. And so then I became kind of confined to these kind of school run hours. And then I also realised that, okay, I'm now at home. So then there's also some expectations about, well, you're at home, so there's things that you should do and all this sort of thing. And so the transition there, Amy, I mean, there's things like the autonomy and the freedom to do things was powerful in terms of like, okay, my daughter had a sports day, or she had a school trip, or my son needed something. I could just go off and do it. It was fine. But then just missing that structure has been hard, and trying to recreate that. And that's why you've got to really build that discipline muscle, because again, like I said before, if you don't work, you don't earn. Unless you've built up a very, very strong passive income business, which you still have to work for, you need to always be doing something every single day. Okay, so I guess another lesson with this is you want to put things in place so you have some sort of a structure. So for me, what I ended up doing, it took me a while to figure out what was my ideal working pattern. I figured out that I only want to do calls on certain days, so I only do coaching on certain days. I don't do any calls before a certain amount of days. So before, I'd just have my diary open all the time, but then I'd drop my kid off at school and I'm rushing back home to do a call. And I was like, why am I doing that? This is my business. So I don't see anybody, earliest is 10 o'clock, but ideally 11. I also figured out that, you know, rather than figuring I have to do all the things in terms of, you know, I need to be on this platform, I need to do video, I need to do this, I need to do that. I decided, well, actually, podcasting, I really love it. That's going to be my main thing, and I'm going to create all my other piece of content from that. It's about simplification. That's been my word this year, simplifying. And just stop looking at what everybody else is doing so that I'm not thinking I have to do that, I have to do that, I have to do that. You have to create your own structure, Amy. You have to create your own sort of daily yardsticks of things. So I know, like, I've got my list of my daily 5 things, and if I'm getting like a bit lost, I'll go back to it and go, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? And if I haven't, then I go back to that, because again, it's so easy to spend time doing things that actually do not bring any money into your business. Yes, okay, you know, your Facebook page might now look really pretty because you've created all these lovely images and cover images and things like that, but actually, has it made you money? No. So again, you want to make sure that you're focusing your energy on the things that are making you money, and get rid of the rest of those things that you don't need those things. Another lesson. So let's talk about, so I've talked about focus, how it's really important, structure, outsourcing. Okay. So I'm a big advocate of outsourcing. Lisa says, I look at what everyone's doing and think everyone's doing a podcast and I'm not, then I stop and tell myself off. Yeah, honestly, Lisa, this is me on a daily. Oh my god, this person's doing a retreat, this person's doing a YouTube channel, this person's doing a new program, this person's doing this new digital thing, and I'm just like freaking out here going, oh my goodness, I need to do all these things. And then I'm like, actually no, I don't. Because you will start to learn what works for you. And when you do know what works for you, start doing it. So for example, if I think about my one-on-one clients recently, all my one-on-one clients have come from outside sources. So, you know, before it's like, okay, we'll do this and promote calls here and get people on the phone and everything like this. But actually, I hate that. Like, I'm being truthful. I hate doing loads and loads of sales calls. For me, I rather would go and do a speaking engagement or do a training or be a guest expert in somebody's group and have people come to me. And no word of a lie, like, all my private one-on-one clients have come to me. Like, they've messaged me, I saw you at this event, or I saw you speak, or somebody referred you to me. I've not had to do anything. I haven't had to kind of be proactively going to get that. And that works best for me. And I think as a business owner, you have to figure out what works for you. And just because everyone's like, oh, go and do hundreds of sales calls, I hate them. I really do hate them because I find them really draining, and because I don't have a lot of time and I have young kids and I have a life, I don't want to spend all my time on sales calls. So I said this, and I said, you know, I put it out there. I was like, look, I want people to come to me. Like, by the time you get on the phone with me, you'll pretty much know that you want to work with me or you don't. And if you don't, then you wouldn't be getting on the call anyway. But we have lots of things in place to kind of check this, and, you know, so that it's not wasting anybody's time. So don't look at what other people are doing and think, you know, I'm not worthy and I should be doing this. Don't think you have to do what the gurus say, because this is another thing. You know, I have spent so much money over the last 5 years on courses, on programs, on mentoring, on coaching, and there isn't anything I couldn't tell you about any of those things. But one of the things I will tell you is this, that at the end of the day, it all comes down to there's time and a place for having a coach, and I completely support that. There's a time and a place for getting a program. If you need to learn something, go and get help and learn it. But when you're getting coaching or mentoring or buying courses because A, you're afraid of doing what you know inside you should actually do, you basically want external validation to be able to take the next step, or, you know, you're just thinking, well, this thing is going to be the magic pill, the magic bullet that's going to get me what I need, then that's when you're going to fail, because it's not. It honestly is not. And when I had this like breakdown, like 2015, it was because of that. Because I was looking externally for validation, for approval, for like I got to the point where I just didn't know what I wanted anymore, and I was basically having to get advice from a million and one things and people to make a decision. Okay, so now I'm very much like, well, I know what it is I want. And the thing is, the ironic thing is, when you're in that space, you'll go and pay lots of money to people only for them to tell you what you already know. And the amount of times that's happened to me, I know this for a fact, and then I refuse to put myself in that space anymore. Because it's like, you know. And yes, it's great having a coach for accountability, for strategy, for guidance, or, you know, a mentor. But, you know, really ask yourself. And also, if going to get those people or those programs is going to put you in a shit ton of debt, and oh my goodness, because I don't really swear, but like, I know I don't swear, but I'm saying if it puts you in a crap load of debt, don't do it. It's just not worth it. It's not, because, and I really feel passionate about this because talking from experience, it's just not worth it. Amy says, society drills into us by external validation, so it's hard to condition out. They say it is. And this is where I learned that, you know, you need to be okay with who you are, whether people are cheering for you or people are hating on you, because it's irrespective, it's irrelevant. People will always have something to say, and people will always have nice things to say, but you need to know who you are, just who you are. And being an entrepreneur, very much like getting married or whatever you, it's a real personal development journey. And so for me, I've learned a huge amount about myself. I've learned a huge amount about how I see myself. And one of my other lessons is about mindset, imposter syndrome. Like, this has been such a huge thing for me. You know, I am somebody who has worked in the corporate space for over 10, 12 years. And I've been a top performer. I've been in business for over 5 years. I've worked with hundreds of clients. I've made good money. Made good money, should I say? You know, I've had very external wins, but yet still struggle with, like, do you know what? I don't think I'm good enough to do this, or why should anybody listen to me? And whenever I go through stuff, you know, if I've made an error or a mistake or anything, like, I come back to this place of like, why would anybody want to work with me? And then when you have a situation of people not paying you, and all different things like this, then it adds to that of kind of like, well, maybe I'm not good enough then. Maybe, you know, maybe I deserve that sort of thing. So your mindset and your beliefs and the way you see yourself is far more important than how anybody else sees yourself. Because what happens is, if you see yourself in this way, then it will impact everything else that you do. So throughout the last 3 months, when I've had stuff going on, and I'll talk a little bit about it, but, you know, it's impacted my ability to show up. It's impacted my ability to put things out, make sales and do things, because I've just been in this place of like feeling ashamed, or feeling bad, feeling guilty, feeling like, oh, I can't do X, Y, and Z. But you have to separate the truth from fact, and you have to separate the stories we tell ourselves from actually what is the reality. In entrepreneurship and in life, we will make mistakes. We will make poor decisions, and that's okay. As long as we learn from them, it's okay. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then that's something that needs to be addressed. But ultimately, the key thing about entrepreneurship is being able to dust yourself down and say, okay, what can I learn from this, and move on from it. All right. So let me talk about outsourcing, growing a team, cash flow. All right. So when I left my job, like, when I realized that I was struggling on this time thing, I was like, well, I'm just going to outsource everything, because, you know, that's what people tell us to do. We should outsource, give it to people, do everything. Not a problem, okay, if you can afford to do that. So there's one thing to be earning good money, okay, but there's one thing to take all of that money and give it to somebody else. So I saw this in the agency, because I wasn't pricing stuff properly, and then by the time I paid contractors and everything else like that, there was just nothing left. And in my own business, I would get VAs to do stuff that were not, you know, so in your business, there's like income generating activities and then things that are not income generating. So for example, if I get my VA to go and help set up my shop, okay, that's going to lead to income. So that's an income generating activity. It's fine to pay for that. If I got someone to do like some admin stuff and tidy up the back end of like Active Campaign, you know, it's not directly income generating. So you would think about how much that comes up on the priority list. But the thing is, one of the big mistakes that I made in this past year is I outsourced too much. Like, I honestly did. And the thing is, I'm lucky to be able to know how to do all this stuff, and I can do it myself, but I basically outsourced too much, because I was like, well, it's all right, it's fine, money's coming in, I can, you know, what have you. But then you got to a point, and it got to a month where I'd been away, come back off my holiday, one of the projects that we're working on in the agency had completely gone out of scope. And so I came back to a whole bunch of costs for contractors who had done work, and obviously should be paid for it, but work that was not in scope. And I came back to additional costs for additional project management hours, which are not factored in, all those different things like this. So I learned very quickly and the hard way about outsourcing, and I basically had to rein everything back in and actually ask myself, what things do I need to keep in-house and what things do I give out? Because, you know, one of the things I gave out just took so long for this person to do, and then I was like, I could have just done this myself because I know how to do it. It would have cost me X amount of money and the job would have got done quicker. So my advice is this: I believe in outsourcing, but outsource when you've got a process in place. So if I take my podcast, okay, when we first started the podcast, I knew that I wanted to have the podcast come out every week, and it was going to have a blog post and associated graphics and all this sort of thing. Now, my mistake was allowing one of my VAs to map out this whole process for me, and it took such a long time, okay? And I'm there paying for somebody to figure out something that I already knew in my head, when I should have just done it all myself the first time, documented it and said, here's the process, off you go and do it. Why? Because it saves time, it saves money, and it means that you'll become less of a people-dependent business, but a process-dependent business. So my podcast workflow, I can give it to anybody to do, and they can effectively do it because they're following a process. Whereas before, it's like, well, you know, here's this and here's that and here's this, and then just coming back and forth and saying, what about this? Would you like this? And listen, it's not her fault. It's my fault, because I should, as a leader, as a CEO, be like, this is what I want, and here it is, and here's going. Because again, with systems and things in your business, these are the things that are going to give you more time, but you know all this stuff. So paying somebody to figure out your own systems is a waste of money, complete waste of money, because they're going to go back and forth. They don't know how your business really works, and you're going to pay them to figure out stuff that's in your head. So on the outsourcing thing, you know, and with anything you make an investment in your business, you need to know that, can I actually afford this? And I'm going to talk about numbers in a minute. Can I afford this? Hi, Yenny. This thing that I'm getting this person to do, is it at a place where they can just pick it up and do it, or is it going to require lots of my time to figure this thing out? You know, am I going to, what is the return on this thing? Okay. So for example, the podcast is not a direct income generating activity, in as much as that I don't do the podcast and make immediate sales after it. Hey, Susan, it's more around, it's a long-term strategy. It's about brand awareness, it's about establishing credibility, it's about all these different things. So it's a long-term thing. But there are things that you will do, that you pay somebody to do, and they are income generating. So you want to make sure that if you're outsourcing, you consider all those things. And here's the thing, it's a false economy to go cheap. Let me tell you why. Because when you go really cheap, because you're like, oh, I'm saving so much money, and it's like, oh, they're only, you know, they're like a couple of dollars a pound, you know, whatever. Unless you are giving somebody a process which they're following, then you know that's the best opportunity when cheap works. But if it's not, it's going to end up costing you the same as it would have cost if you paid somebody £35 an hour. And what I found when I invested in people who know what they're doing, and yes, they're a little bit more, the stuff gets done quicker, I don't have to check it over, and I can actually relinquish control. So there's nothing worse than having to get a virtual assistant and you're literally looking over their shoulder all the time, because you don't know whether they're going to do it properly or you're going to do it properly, you're going to check it and everything else like that. And that's when I feel outsourcing is not effective, all right? So that's what I'll say there. So let's talk about money in the business, okay? So knowing your numbers, and I talk about this, and I've learned this the hard way, is so important. If you don't know how much money your business is earning, how much money your business is spending, then you should come off this live stream right now and go and figure it out. Because if you don't, you're not really running a business, you're just doing whatever. Veronica says, hi, I'm at work, we'll have to watch the recording. No problem, Veronica. Because without knowing that number, and I've just come off this morning, I've had a call with my accountant, we have a call every quarter, where we look at everything. She showed me profit and loss. She tells me how much money the business is making, how much profit's in the business, how much money I should have a tax, all this sort of thing. But I didn't used to be that way. Trust me. So last year, when I made the decision that I wanted to leave my job, I was like, I need to get more intimate with my numbers, because literally I'll be like, well, I know when it's coming in. Of course it's coming in. I can see it coming in. PayPal's telling me it's coming in. And I could just buy stuff and everything else like that. But the thing is, then it'll come to tax time and I haven't got money for tax. It will come to tax time and I haven't got any documentation for stuff, and receipts for things that are everywhere, and it's all a big mess. You will spend stuff, and because you have a job kind of in the background, it hides things. Okay, so November was the first month where I had no salary come in, and that was the first month where I started to see a true picture of what's coming in and out of my business. But before then, I'd spent the time to actually kind of look at expenses and everything else like that. But it's more than knowing what's coming in and going out. It's about cash flow, because if you don't know like where the cash is coming from and how it's flowing out, then you find yourself in a bit of a problem, because it's not necessarily, businesses don't fail because somebody had a bad idea or, you know, whatever. It's because often it's because they ran out of money. Okay, they couldn't pay their debtors. They couldn't debtors, is that the word, or creditors, whichever word it is. They couldn't pay for stuff, and so they ran out of money. And so, as an entrepreneur, you want to be able to forecast what is coming in and what is coming out. And this was something that I didn't really do very well. And so I knew, like, yeah, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to start my group program and I'm going to be okay for the next 6 months. But beyond that, I wasn't like, I didn't plan. I couldn't say, here you go, here's my plan for the next 12 months. Okay, I can do that now, but I didn't then. And that was a big problem, because when my first group program ended, I knew it was ending, but then the payments ended a month before it was ending. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, the payments have stopped and I haven't got anything to replace those payments. And I then had to kind of and that was like, you know, poor planning. All right. And so as a CEO, you need to be planning. You need to know what you're launching, when you're launching it, when it's coming out, what is it costing, how much you want to bring in, so that you can make sure you cover your stuff. All right. Because there's nothing worse than not being able to pay for stuff, not being able to pay people, not being able to honor your commitments and all this sort of thing. And look, I'm talking from experience here. Like this, like I said, this is entrepreneurial truths. I don't want you to make the same mistakes. So know what your cash flow situation is. And if you can project forward and you see like, oh my goodness, September's going to be low because there's nothing coming in, then you get your work, you know, get yourself together and you put together a plan and you bring that money in. Because this is not a case of employment where they're going to bring a salary every month, irrespective of what you do. So cash flow is really important. And this was a big lesson for me, has been a big lesson for me this first year, because all it takes is somebody not to pay you. All it takes is for somebody to pay you late. All it takes is for, you know, and this is why all these different things come into play. So if you're dealing with, you know, if you haven't forgiven yourself for a mistake that you've made, and then you're kind of dealing with embarrassment and shame, then that impacts how you show up, your visibility, that impacts how you sell your things, that impacts how you tell people about your products. Then it becomes this vicious cycle, which impacts how many sales you make, and then you make less sales, and then it kind of is a continuous cycle, which is why, you know, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your mindset. You want to make sure that you know what your plan is for your business and what you're going to sell and when, so that you know and you have a plan around what's income. You know, I've sat down and I've mapped out from now until next year, July, next summer, so I know what I'm selling. I know that I will enroll 2 private clients every quarter. I know that I will sell my mastermind here. I know I'll do my group VIP days here. And then anything else is like a bonus. So if you're not doing that, please do that. If you're not tracking your numbers, please do that. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can just go into Google Sheets and just log your numbers, because it'll make life easier when it comes to tax time. It'll make life easier for you to know like how much money is actually coming in, and you know, keeping money aside for tax, having reserves. All these things are so important, and this is the journey that I'm on, because I'm in it for the long haul. I want a really strong, sustainable business. And so, like, you know, today I was talking with Kylie and she's giving me advice and things about what I need to do and all this sort of thing. And so we can plan for all this stuff, because that's the difference between being a CEO and a real business owner than somebody's just like, oh, I'm just making money. Okay, there's a difference. If you want sustainability, if you want all of that, you need to be thinking ahead and planning. Hey, Sophia, thank you for joining. Okay, so, lessons. So we've talked about goals and planning. We've talked about mindset, cash flow forecast, planning, figuring out your own path. This is really important. So like I said, it's good to have support, mentors, coaches, but it's your business. So ultimately the book stops with you. So you need to decide, what is it that I want to create here? How many clients do I want to see? How many things do I want to put out to the world? And you determine and decide your own rules. It doesn't come down to what some person says or someone emails list says. You know, one of the greatest things that I have done, hey Lucy, recently is turn off all notifications from all Facebook groups except my own. I was unsubscribing to so many things, and it's taking time, but I'm just systematically unsubscribing. I'm really just really intentional about how I'm spending money and on what, because, you know, like, I joke about this, but like, seriously, most programs and courses out there, I probably have them. So if you want to know like whether the program is good or not, you just can message me, I can tell you. But like I said, no course or program or mentor is going to be the magic bullet. It's just not, because you are still going to have to do the work. So yeah, figuring out your own path. You have to figure out what motivates you, what excites you. And also about making the decision that you're going to make this thing work, because it really is down to you. You know, there's days when you wake up, and there's days when I woke up and I just cannot be bothered. Like, I just cannot be bothered. And it's like, okay, we were all allowed those days, and you know, we get on Netflix and we'll watch Netflix for 2 days, and then reality hits, and it's like, you got to actually figure out your way forward. And like, if I go back to the top of this live stream when I said you need to figure out a way to pull yourself up, because life is life, and life will throw stuff at you. It just will. And particularly when you make a decision about something, you'll be tested to see whether you truly want that thing or you truly have decided. And you need to be so resolute that this is the path you want to take, and you're going to stand firm in it, because people will say stuff. People will remove things from you, or take away resources, or something will happen in your personal life or your business life or what have you. You've got to still stand strong. You've got to still show up. And it's less about money in as much as like, if you don't earn, you don't earn. If you don't work, you don't earn. Yes, there is that, which we all know. But it's more around, okay, but you know, you're working in your life's purpose, what you're called to do. And you got to keep showing up. You've got to keep showing up. So having that at the back of your mind, like, this is my own path, I'm going to figure it out, is really, really important. And, you know, I was talking to one of my private clients last week, and she was like, it's so funny because, you know, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and my previous coach told me like, no, that wouldn't work, but I just really wanted to do it anyway. And so I did. And it's funny now, she just emailed, and then I can't remember the specifics around the thing, but she went ahead and did what she wanted to do because it felt right. And that same person messaged her, like, at the end of our call, it's really speaking. She's like, oh, I've just been watching you, and I'm really inspired by how you're just kind of growing and all the different things you're doing. And I was like, I said, you see, nobody has the magic advice or bullet or anything. They don't. You run your own business and you decide, all right? I think I'm harping on that because I just really, truly believe that. I see so many people who are just stuck because they're waiting for somebody to tell them what they need to do, when actually you just need to take that step of faith. And nobody knows what tomorrow is going to bring. So you have to be kind of like, I'm going to take this faith step, I'm going to take forward action. Okay. So what else would I talk about? Selling and expectations. Okay, so let's talk about expectations. One of the big things that is going to really knock you is having expectations that are not realistic. So when I left my job and I was like, yes, I'm going to have all this time, and I'm going to do all this stuff with my son, and I'm going to do this stuff and take care of myself and self-care and all this sort of thing. Oh my gosh, it's only been an hour. I'm going to do this and do that and everything else like this. And, you know, 12 months, almost 12 months later, the reality is very different. The biggest reason why people have issues in marriage, for example, is that expectations are not aligned, and people have wrong expectations, or they come into it with certain expectations. And the same goes for your business. What expectations do you have around your achievements, what you're supposed to do, what you should be doing, how you should be doing it? You see, if you work in a job, for example, and maybe you're like 3-4k a month, 2-3-4k a month, that's good salary. Only in the online entrepreneurial space can you be taking home 8k a month, 10k a month, and you're like, this is not enough. I'm not doing good enough here. This is rubbish. I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. And you're really hard on yourself. Okay, so whether that, you know, and any respective of whatever that number is, I think only in this online space can people's achievements be sort of diminished. So it's really important that you have solid expectations, but when I say solid, like realistic expectations. One of my mentors said to me like last week, actually said, you know what, the reality is, Chi, this is actually your first year business. I've been in business for 5 years, but this is your first year business. Why? Because this is the first year when you've actually gone all in. You you know, you've left your job, and this is year one. And if you think about, you know, when you are in year one of business, whatever that may look like, and that was something I had to kind of really think about next steps. But like, no, I've been in business for years, but it's like, this is year one in this business. You you know, there's a lot of work that goes in at the beginning to build that foundation, and there's a lot of, you know, sleepless nights, there's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of questioning and everything else like that. But it's about the expectation. And one of the things I've had to learn and realize is that I'm in this for the long haul. So I don't need to achieve everything in the next 12 months, because I think that was the mindset I had. I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. I haven't done this, so I'm not good enough to do that, you know. You don't. Because there's still tomorrow, and there's still next year, and the year after, and the year after. And I'm in this season of life where I have 2 young children, and you know, to have a kind of huge, massive business right now does not fit into the lifestyle that I want to have, and I have. And so I had to make peace with my own expectations of what I was, because I was being really too hard on myself. My mentors all the time, he's like, you're too hard on yourself, too hard on yourself. And I think we often are, we're too hard on ourselves. We achieve things, we never celebrate and acknowledge them. We, you know, make progress in our businesses, and sometimes we think success is just about money, and I teach my clients this all the time. It's not about money. It's not all about money. Do you have all the money in the world? Like I said, I came off the back of a sold out 5-figure launch. Like, it was like, you know, good income, but I was empty, absolutely empty. I was just like, felt lost. So it's not about the money. It's about fulfillment in what you're doing. It's about waking up every day excited to work and do the things that you're doing. It's every day knowing that your clients are getting results. It's every day knowing that you're making an impact, even if it's just one person. Those things are so far more important. So ask yourself, what expectations do I have for myself? What am I telling myself that I should be doing, should be achieving, should be getting? Because they might be like flawed, and then you're setting yourself up to fail. You're putting yourself on having such a high bar for yourself. It's good to work hard. It's good to have a, you know, a level of excellence in what you do. But if it's really unrealistic, this is year one, and in the online space, there's so many of us, you know, 6 figures in 2 minutes, and you can earn all this money overnight and everything else. But nobody talks about the actual reality of what it takes to do all of that and what's needed to do all of that. And for you, you might like, well, actually, I don't want 6 figures, TT. I'm just happy with like 2 grand a month, and that's cool for me. And that's cool. You know, whatever you want. This is why you got to figure out your own path. So yeah, so I'm just looking at the time. I think it's, you know, the purpose of this today was just to really share from my heart, like, how life as an entrepreneur really is. Like, and it's been a good year, but it's also been a really hard year. And I've learned a ton of lessons. And I'm really grateful for those lessons because they've made me a better person and a better entrepreneur. But the thing is as well, I don't want to fool you and have you disillusioned around that it's all rainbows and butterflies, because it's not. But the upside of it is very, very rewarding. And if you can take hold of just even 1 or 2 things today, you know, taking care of your money, looking after your mindset, focusing, you know, having a kind of a schedule around what you're doing, you know, having a vision and a goal of what you're working towards, you know, so knowing what you're working towards, your goals, making sure that you're selling on a daily basis, making sure that you are not throwing out all the hard-earned money you've earned and giving it back out to other people because you're outsourcing things that you don't need to outsource right now. You know, if you're going to take some of those lessons away, you will, you know, I feel like I've done my job, because I don't think it's fair for me to just show you one side. Because yeah, I could sit here and roll off wins, because I've had a good year of wins, you know, aside from having a profitable business, and you know, which is in itself a great thing. You know, I won an award this year, Freelance of the Year runner-up award. Been in the Guardian. I've had, you know, I've run 2 live events. I've had amazing group programs. I have amazing one-on-one clients. My one-on-one stuff is booked now till October. I can sit here and share wins, but I'm not gonna, it's not all about that. For me, it's like, is life good overall? And like, for me, this business always has to support the lifestyle. So it's given me lots to think about. And when I came back from our holiday in April, I just thought, this is what life is about. It's about family and memories and experiences and not being sat behind a laptop. It's about connecting with people. It's about caring for people. It's about being real and genuine about when you're struggling, raising your hand and saying, like, I'm struggling. That's hard for me. That's hard for me to say, like, I need help. But, you know, it's about pride. And I've learned to drop my ego. I've learned to stop worrying about what people think. I've learned that, you know what, despite of what you see, please don't put me on a pedestal. Really don't. Because I'm just like you. I'm, you know, a woman who has her flaws. I have, you know, things that are my weaknesses, the things that are my strengths. But I'm not, don't put me on a pedestal. And I think when we start to think that we are better than other people, or we start to think that, you know, there's this big gap in distance, we lose the thing that makes people come into our community and follow us. When people, you know, when I ask people, you know, why do you want to work with me, or why are you in my community? People say, because I feel I can connect with you and I resonate with you, and you've been where I am, and you know where I'm going, and I never want to lose that. And so I always want to share the truth. Okay, and of course I'm not going to tell you everything, because I want to have some things that are private, but for the things I can share, I will. But I want to encourage you to say, like, look, if you've made this decision to be an entrepreneur, an amazing journey, but it's a hard one. But I want to encourage you to stick at it. I want to encourage you to really get to know who you are and really accept yourself and really love yourself, okay? And I say this and it might sound really cheesy, but the thing is, the biggest sabotager of things is ourselves. So when I was going through all this stuff and, you know, I had issues with financial stuff and not being able to pay stuff on time and all these different things, it really affected me. Like, I felt so much shame, I felt embarrassed, I felt like I'm just, you know, I'm not good coach because I'm dealing with my own mess and I, you know, all this sort of things. And that then impacted my ability to go and do what I do well, which is help and mentor other people. And so I've had to work for all of that. I've had to forgive myself. I've had to say, look, you know, we all make mistakes and these are lessons, and now I can teach these lessons to other people. But it's so important that you get to know who you are and you accept yourself, and also you can be able to differentiate between what is stories and what is truth, and know that yes, it's great to have all this praise here, but at the same time all these haters here, but it's irrelevant. You just know who you are and what you stand for, and you go out and do you. You know, somebody messaged me yesterday and she's like, oh, you know, all these people are saying, I think all these people are saying stuff about me, so I'm going to remove them from my group and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm just like, don't waste your energy. Like, really don't. There'll always be people who are, hey Temi, hey Lilam, there's all these people who will say stuff all the time. You know, I'm sure there's people who talk about me. I'm sure they are. But, you know, if I spend my energy going around like, oh, this person's saying this person's saying this, then I'm going to not have the energy to do what I need to do, which is just get on with my life, help people and do a good job, you know? So don't spend your time and energy worried about what people will think and what people will say. Don't allow your fears around feeling that you're not good enough to hold you back. You are good enough. You're more than good enough. The very fact that you're in this community tells me that you are a woman who has an amazing gift and ability and talent to share with the world, and you just now want to figure out how is the best way to do that. Okay, don't believe the lies that people say that you have to, you know, you have to do certain things to get a certain result. You know, I said earlier, you know, yes, it's important to invest in yourself, and I really do stand behind that, but don't invest in yourself to the point where you are putting yourself in such a financial hole that you then are spending so much time worrying about how much money you don't have, or the situation you have with money, that you can't actually do the thing you're supposed to do, okay? I don't agree with people telling people that they're not good enough because they didn't invest in a particular thing. Who cares? It's not about that. So you need to be stronger in yourself to know what is important to you. What is important to you is, for me, God is number one, my family is number two. And so anything that doesn't jeopardize that, I will drop that and make sure that everything aligns with that. And obviously, thank you so much. Hey, Rumby. So just want to encourage you. Oh, thank you. Helenam. So I think it's BB cream today. Thank you for the compliment. But yeah, I mean, so to end it, I want to say thank you for watching all of this, and also apologize because I've been hiding a lot of this stuff because I was afraid to talk about it. I was like, if I go and tell my community that I've been struggling and I've been having these situations in my life and in my business, they're not going to trust me, they're not going to want to do business with me, they're not going to do all this. And so I've had all these stories in my head, and I felt like a huge imposter, and I felt like, what am I doing? Like, am I, you know? And so I apologize for doing that, because by doing that, I've not showed up. I've not given to you like I should. I haven't supported you like I should. And that's changing. I draw a line in the sand. I was like, so do you know what? This is enough. This ends. Because it's lies, and I don't believe those lies. And I know that some of you are probably feeling the same way, and just know that they're lies, okay? So you guys, you're all amazing. You have amazing businesses. And look, if you're struggling right now, know that it's okay, okay? We all go through it. This is the entrepreneurial journey. You'll have moments when you're like at the bottom and you're just like, this is just what is going on. You have moments when it's just amazing high, but just know that it's normal. And what I will say is just don't suffer in silence, okay? Get help. Ask for support, because one of the things that I learned through all of this is that other people are going through the same thing, or they have been through the same thing, and they're able to reassure you and give you a plan and tell you what you need to do. Don't bury your head in the sand. Just get help, get support, and just continue being great people, all right? So I have talked for an hour, almost. Are there any questions? Because I know that some of you just hopped on, some of you have been watching from the beginning. If you're just hopping on, feel free to watch the replay where I share everything. But yeah, things are changing in the background. And as soon as I can talk about some of these stuff, I will. But yeah, Temi says, absolutely, the entrepreneurial journey is ups and downs, but usually it's worth it eventually. Yes. And if you remember that you're in it for the long game, then, you know, if you think about a graph, like, I'm trying to think of a good visual example. You know, if you look at it, and I'm trying to think of a good example, probably not. It's more around making sure that the trend is going up. So like in a graph, it will be like going like this. But if you put a line to see the trend, if the trend is still kind of moving forward, then you're fine. Progress is the most important thing, not perfection. So yeah. So hey Lorraine, Temi, thank you. Nanghe, thank you for being on. Lisa, Osinubi, Fumilayo, Rumbi, Elena, Olabisi, all of you. I'm just naming my Sophia, Sadie, Lucy, Veronica, Yenny, Mary Jane, Susan. Thank you so much, Amy. All of you who've been on here. Natalia, follow Kemi. All right. So I'm gonna, if there's any questions, let me know before I wrap up. I don't normally do really long live streams like this, but I've wanted to talk and just get this off my chest because I've just wanted to share that with you. But Lorraine says I'll watch the replay. Cool. Cool. All right, ladies. So if there's no questions, I'll head off and continue with my day. But thank you for being part of the CEO Mastery community. I really do appreciate all of you. You're wonderful women. And just keep doing the good work. All right? Speak to you soon. Bye.